Okay, so in this video I'm going to cover the very basic stuff in the Django framework. Okay, I mean how you can create your first project in Django and how to set up the environment for the Django development. So let's start for that. Now let's start. So first let me open uh, an example folder, a temporary folder. Okay, so here we are going to create our all files and all. So first we have to create virtual environment for our Django development. So the command for that is virtual env p. You can also here you can also mention which Python version you are going to use. It's not necessary, but you can do that. So suppose for some project, if you are working on a legacy project, and that so basically you are supporting some legacy project and that project is using Python 2, then you can mention here Python 2. But since we are developing a new project, then we are going to use this one, and it created our in visual env files. Now let's activate that venv scripts and activate. So in my case, since I'm using PowerShell, sorry, then this and I also enabled ps1 file execution, so it will work. Now if you can see, then here is you can see the venv means it means we are in the virtual environment, Python virtual environment. So now let's install Django library. So I'm going with the latest version of Django. I'm not mentioning any version here of Django version. So oops, I have to turn off my antivirus, otherwise this will create a lot of problem for 5 hours. Okay, close. That's out of question, is out of syllabus. Now let's create a Django project. Okay, now we have successfully installed Django. Now let's create Django project. So to create a Django project, the command is django admin. Okay, I'm typing incorrect spelling. Django admin, start project and project name. So let's give the my first project hello world, or my anything, test website, we can say test web. Now it will create all the necessary files for the Django project. Now if we run ls command, then we can see that there is a folder, a new folder created, which is test web. Now let's go inside the test web, and if you see here, then there is two file. Okay, one file and one folder. The first file is manage.py and the other one is test web. Now if you see the structure of the file, oops, no, I think tree command is not here. Oops, sorry, what is the command? Tree, no, it's not going to work. Okay, no problem. We can do ls, normal ls. Now manage.py. So so what is manage? So what is manage.py? Okay, so manage.py is basically a command line utility in Django, which is basically used for deploying, debugging and running the web application. Okay, so it's like suppose you have done with the development and you want to run your web server, so this manage.py will basically help you to run the server. And also there is in Django there is a thing called migration. So migration is basically so what happens in Django? First you have to create project. So project is like a full web app. Suppose you are going to create an e-commerce website in Django, then you have to create a main project which is e-commerce, and inside that project you have to create multiple apps means suppose so application you can divide like first you have to create so suppose you created a application called e-commerce, and then inside e-commerce project you have to create apps. So the first step will be authentication. Okay, you can create an app for authentication, and the other app, the second app you have to create, which basically handles cart, and we can create similarly you can create multiple apps. So apps is like a module. Instead of creating everything in a single project, you are going to create modules or apps inside projects. So now let's move to the project creation. So we will look more details regarding manage.py later, but for the time being, manage.py is a command line utility which is basically used for deploying and running the web application, Django application. And okay, there is another thing called Django interactive shell. So you can, with manage.py, you can also run that. So it is basically useful for debugging purposes and all, like this. This is Django interactive shell, similar to Python shell. We will look in detail regarding this later. Now let's go to the test web or inside the project folder. So if you see, then there are 5 files, and this is cache file, so it's not important. And this is init.py. So init.py in Python programs, in Python language, init.py basically indicates that this particular folder is a module itself, and generally this init.py file will be empty. There is nothing. Okay, sorry, there is a problem with my shell. Type init.py, we can init. Oops, if you cat inside this file, then it's empty. Okay, there is nothing. It's just there to indicate that this particular folder is a module. And there is a asgi.py, it is basically used for at the time of development in production. So this ASGI means the full form is asynchronous server gateway interface. And similarly there is a WSGI. So WSGI is basically web server gateway interfaces. So these two files are utilized when you are going to deploy your project in web server, and this basically help you to configure this within conjunction with the web server. Suppose you are using Apache or Nginx, so you have to do configuration according to that in these two files. So these are right now, these are not important for development purpose, so we are going to ignore that for now. And these two files are important. The first one is settings.py. So settings.py basically it contains all the settings regarding the project. And also url.py is also important here. We are going to look in about it. So url.py is basically mapping the URLs. I mean configuring the routes. If you have used other web development frameworks, then there is a thing called route. So basically you have to define all the routes regarding those individual applications which you are going to create inside the project. So we are going to look into details. Now let's open the settings.py. We can use, so this is settings.py. So if you can see, some of the important configuration you can do is here. So this is debug. Now currently the debug is true because we are developing the app, and if you put your application in the production server, then make it to false, because if you set the debug to true, then it's going to print a lot of debugging messages in the web during the year. So you don't want that in the production environment, so that's why it's there. And allowed host is basically used when you are going to deploy app in the production. Okay, these are the installed apps. So yeah, here we have to do configuration. So whenever you are going to create an app inside the inside the project, then you have to put the class name, I guess. Yeah, it should be class name. Yeah, class name or path for that particular app. For example, if we are going to create a my app 1, then the URL should be my app 1 dot apps dot my app1 config, similar to that one. Now so for now remember that this is the value you have to edit whenever you are going to create a new app within the project. And these are the other things. So for now, this is the only important bit you have to remember. You have to update the path for the new app every time. Now let's look into the urls.py. So this is the URL. So whenever you are going to create an app and a function or a page inside that, then you have to update this part as well. Now this is the enough theory. Now let's create a project app. Okay, do you have any question? Yeah. Yeah, here you mean to say here, right? Correct. So yeah, in the settings.py you have to just put the path for that particular I mean class. Okay, every app you are going to create, it will contains a class. So you have to define the path of that particular class here. Okay, and for in views you are going to create views in those app, so you have to map the views. Okay, I'll explain you how to map, and I'll also give you the notes, don't worry about it. Now let's create a project, sorry, app inside the uh, project. Now let's close everything. So in order to create app, the command should be django admin start app. We can give the name login, for example. Okay, it's just an example. Auth, or you can give auth. Now it will create an app with the name of auth. Now if we ls, then this is the project folder. Okay, test web, and I think I'm missing something. It shouldn't be there, or is it? Yeah, it will be, it will inside the okay, 1 second, let me see. Okay, it should not be there, sorry. We have to create app outside. Let me delete that. Yeah, so always remember you have to create this is the main folder. Okay, we have to go one step back as well. So this is the main folder. Here is the manage.py. This is our project. Now only in this location we need to create an app. So we are going to create app here, django admin start app auth. Now if you see, then we have our auth app here. Now if we ls, then you can see there are 6 files. Okay, so there is one folder as well. So this migration folder basically contains database, your current database setup, db setup, you can say backup or something. Now this is init.py, which denotes that it's a module. Now there is an admin.py. We can look inside the code as well. This is admin.py, so I don't think we have to configure here right now. Okay, admin.py. So the admin.py file is used for registering the model into the Django administration, which we are not going to go into much details right now. And apps.py, this is basically, okay, so I was talking about this particular class. Okay, so we have to put this particular class into that project's settings.py. Okay, because this is an app. So I'll show you how to do that. And apps, so right now remember that in every project, every application, sorry, app inside Django project, just look into the apps.py and models.py. okay, so the model.py is also important file, because we have to define our business logic. Business logic means the backend code which is going to process the input from front end. Okay, you can understand it. Okay, what is business logic? So we are going to implement our business logic in this model dot text model dot py, and test dot py contains, you can write your test cases. So we are not going to look into details, and this is the important one, this is views. So here you are basically going to create views. Okay, I mean whatever you are going to define here, the users will be able to see them. And models is for processing purpose. Okay, backend process, I mean whatever the users apply the data in the front end, you have to process it in models.py. And also you are going to define your databases in models.py. Okay, so we are going to look this how to use model.py tomorrow. For today we are going to just create a simple view to render your application. Okay, so let's first define here, let's create a view. Okay, simple view which is basically going to render hello world into the main web application. So okay, so there is a something is not there actually from default, so we have to define http class. Okay, let me write it first. django.http import http response. Sorry. Okay, so this class is basically going to, this is basically, understand how this is working, right? We are from Django library django.http, we are importing http response. So it is basically going to return everything. Now we have to define here a function. Sorry. So it will be so every view or every page is defined as a function. Okay, so let's name it index, and this is argument request, and whatever you are going to supply to that page, it will be going, can be accessed via this particular request variable. Okay, now let's we are not going to do anything special here right now. We are just going to return a simple hello world, means text hello world. This is simple text. Okay, okay, for now ignore this error because okay, request is not accessed. Okay, request, where is request? Okay, so you understand, right? This is basically HTML. We can define it as HTML h2. Instead of writing the whole HTML, I'm just writing hello world. Yeah, okay, now this is done. And okay, so migration directory, I think I already told you that migrations folder contains migration data. So in every application you just have to focus these two files. Okay, models.py, where you have to define your database model, and views.py, it basically contains the front end views. Okay, rendering data, how do you are going to render your code, and the business logic is also will be in this models.py only. So this is the simple app. Now we have to set up we have to do the configuration in our main project file. Okay, now let's quit from here. I should have opened it from here only. Yeah, this is this folder contains a app. Okay, auth app, and this will be this is our main project app. Now let's first add the settings. So the settings should be we have to define it like that. Okay, app installed apps, we have to add another line here. Now first you have to give the folder name. So what is the folder name? Auth, or module name, or module or app name. Okay, auth. And here if you click here, the class is inside this apps.py file. Okay, so we have to put the name here. So auth, and then apps, and then if you go again here, sorry, apps, then the class, what is the class name? Auth config. Okay, so we have to give this particular class name, auth config settings.py auth apps auth config. Yeah, correct. So it's done. I think I'm forgetting a comma here. Yeah, it's done. Config auth config. Now we have to configure the URL, I mean views. Okay, so we have, okay, no, not here, this is the here urls.py. Okay, one thing I also forgot, we also have to create a urls.py. Okay, this app folder is basically missing another thing. I mean that apps.url for that app is not there. Okay, so we have to create apps.url in the auth folder. Remember that this apps.url is for urls.py, sorry, urls.py is for auth folder. If you can see, now we have created another urls.py, and now we have to import some libraries from Django, sorry, under some classes and functions from Django. So it should be from django.urls import path. Remember that we are defining this path inside app, not the project. From dot means the current module, import views. You can understand, right? From dot is representing this particular file system folder, and what you are importing from your views.py. So click here. Yeah. Now we have to define a few things here. We are going to define an array, a list, url patterns. Now here we have important a path function, right? So we are going to define it like this: views dot index. I'll explain it what it is. Name should be index. So if you can see, then what we are defining, since we have defined this, if you can go into the views.py, then we have what to the function we gave the name index. Okay, and okay, let's define another page as well. About me request return HTTP response. This is the about me page h2 h2 like this. So you can understand, right? There are two pages we have defined in the views, two views. Now in the URLs we have to add both. Right now we have added one. So similarly we just have to copy this line, and views dot about me, since the function name is about me and the name should be about me page, we can put about me page. I can put it index page, something like that. And if you can see, then we have we didn't put here any value, because we have to define the path in the projects url.py file. Okay, here. Now I think it's done. Now let's configure this projects.py file. So here I think we have to import one more in function include, I guess. Yeah, now it is good. URL path, so by default it is including the admin. Now we have to do the same thing for our view. Okay, so so since we already define URLs here, right? So we are not going to define anything. Okay, one thing we have to do, I guess, we have to define here about me. about me page should be here, otherwise we are not, since we don't have to index is default, right? So why this is why it's blank, but about me we have to provide about, at least about. Okay, so by this URL the user will be able to access to about me. And URLs, so in URLs we only have to define the path of that particular application, not the whole thing. Okay, so what is the path will be auth. Okay, since you can see here it's the folder name is auth, so the auth will be enough. And here we have to do include instead of include, it should be auth, the folder name is auth, and where we have defined the URLs in the auth file urls.py, so it should be URLs. I think this will work. Yeah, it's kind of done. Now let's run the application. I think I have to change something here about it shouldn't be there, but let's try. Okay, now let's quit the terminal. And so remember, right now we don't have we did not define any models or everything, but it's good practice. Whenever you are going to run the app update changes, right, then always run manage.py migrate. First run the migrate. Okay, there is an issue. What it is saying, line number 93, manage.py. What is saying, duplicates. Okay, there is an issue actually. Auth is a keyword. Okay, we can't use, so we have to reconfigure, we have to rename this, guys. mv auth, let's rename this auth en, we can do auth ent authentication or auth env. Okay, move everything with auth env. And now we have to do some configuration here. Oh no, not manage.py. Let's open a vim session auth env. Okay, I don't think we have to change this one. Okay, we have to change something in urls.py as well. Auth env env.urls. This might fix the issue. No, it's not. Where it got the no module name auth. Okay, so let's do one thing. Quickly start app, create another app. It's not going to take that much time. We can copy our views here from here to here, these things, views. Okay, and here we can create urls.py, and we can copy the same thing from here, urls.py. Something, do we have to change it here? Nothing. urls.py. Okay, now let's change the settings. We can remove this old one since it's creating some problem, and add this new one. test app dot apps dot, what is the name here, what is the name of the class, test app config, T is capital. And in the urls.py we have to update something. It should be test app test app.urls. Now let's try. Okay, it got successful. Okay, so last time it got failed because I created a auth app name with the auth, because auth is a reserve keyword I guess in Django. Okay, so that's why we are not able to run it successfully. Now let's run the, we have successfully done the migration. Now let's run the server. Okay, so if you can see, then it's running. Okay, in local machine. Now let's copy this and okay, so it's throwing an error. Okay, because we are trying to access to the main uh, server, but it is saying you can, there are two application. Okay, one is admin. So let's first explore the test app. Okay, so this is our test app. Okay, and if you can see the code, let me show you the code as well. Okay, here is, we are running currently. Let me copy this. Okay, so also one more thing, you if you are familiar with SQLite, so it's basically file based database, and Django provide it by default. Okay, so suppose you are testing something. Okay, you are building a basic test app, so you don't have to configure connect MySQL connection with server based DCB like MySQL or PostgreSQL. You can also use this SQLite. Okay, it's a easy way to set up actually. Where we can see test app. Let me delete this first. Yeah, test app and URL. So if you can see, then in this blank path, it basically redirecting to views.index. Okay, this views.index and this index file. And if we put here where it is urls about, okay, backslash about, so we have to put here about actually. Now it is showing the about me page. Okay, so you have understood the concept, right? And that's how it, the basic things works in Django. Yeah, so that's it about this particular tutorial. We can see the how to you create models and all tomorrow. Okay.